Hi there. Just a quick note before we get started. This is the first part of our E3 extravaganza. And we went on for an awfully long time discussing like the various highs and lows of this year's conference. So we decided to split it into two parts. This first part is going to be all the stuff we thought was great. And then the second part is going to be kind of all the stuff that's a little bit left field, a bit weird, or simply stuff that we weren't too impressed by, followed by a kind of sort of things we're looking forward to for the rest of 2018. Sorry if this seems a bit lazy, but it's summer, and I think it's going to be tricky to record another show next month anyway. So, enjoy this and look forward to what's coming up in a few more weeks' time. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Barker Podcast Collection.
I suck, you suck, I suck at Call of Duty.
Welcome to the Not Playing Podcast. My name's Rob Howard, and today I'm joined by
Marcus Hurley
and
Will.
Okay, it's E3 week, a very exciting time for all gamers.
Woot, woot.
And absolutely, yeah. So there's been other podcasts I've been listening to over the last couple of days that have kind of just gone through the conferences in sequence, but I think we're going to do things a bit differently. We've kind of come up with a few sort of topic areas and themed them in our special not way, and we're just going to go from, I guess, kind of from most positive down to most negative, if that could be such a thing, because it's been a cracking show. But yeah, I've watched 2 days worth of conferences. I've stopped watching to do my job, and apart from that, I've just been watching E3. I guess have we all watched all of it?
Yep.
Even down to the crazy Devolver show and the PC gaming show and a few other little bits and bobs. I watched a few little interviews as well on the Game Slice channel. That's well worth checking out if any of you listeners want to hear things a bit more in depth. So I'll share what I found out from those as well as what we saw at the conferences. But yeah, let's start with our first topic, which is Not Long Now. So this is specifically games that were featured that actually have a release date in the next, I don't know, up to like early next year, I suppose we can go with.
I don't think there's anything that's got a fixed release date after that, to be honest.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't know about stuff that's like just saying 2019. I mean,
that's not a date, that's a year. That's a window.
Exactly. It's a bit vague. But yeah, who wants to start?
I've got one.
Yeah, go for it.
It made me cry with joy and gave me pretty damn weird dreams as well. Sony conference. Started off, little first person view, had to guess what was going on, climbing up the table, realised you were Rodin, saw PlayStation. The moment I saw the PlayStation, I knew it was Resident Evil. Turned out to be Resident Evil 2 Remake. Oh my fucking god. Sorry, swearing already, but yeah, January 25th, 2019. It may move back, but it was nice to see a date, and it was nice to see that. I've actually watched the second trailer for it, which has some alternative cuts and stuff, and shows a bit more sort of gameplay in there as well. My god, it looks scary. It looks really scary.
I've got a confession to make. I've never really played a Resident Evil game.
Resident Evil 2 was always amazing. The dogs jumping through the window was the biggest jump scare, and it was the start of... it was just the start of it. Up until probably 4. I think 5 is when it started to get more Michael Bay. 5 was like had a good villain, but then 6 it definitely went full Michael Bay, and it lost its survival horror. But this is bringing the horror back. I think on the coattails of Resident Evil 7. This is a very welcome remake.
Yeah, I have to say, I mean, graphically it looked magnificent, absolutely gorgeous. I don't like scaring myself, really. And
Neither do I.
on that basis alone, it looks graphically wonderful, classic game, and it sounds like it's been rebuilt from the ground up, so very, very exciting for people that like to poo themselves.
I'm going to be wearing a nappy as I play this.
Well, that's it. Because, nice big absorbent sheets on the sofa, all of that stuff. But no, I think I'll probably gracefully bow out on that one.
Yeah.
I don't mind horror as long as it's not VR and first person.
This will be third person.
I managed to get through Alien Isolation earlier in the year, so I don't mind visiting this series at some point. I did have the remake of the first game on my wish list for many, many months before I had to have a bit of a cull. But I'd still like to get round to it someday.
Apparently that's
I don't know.
Still very worth it. I think that originally came out on the GameCube, didn't it, when they first started doing the remakes? Years ago. It was like, I think it was the GameCube. And they did one and they basically overhauled the lighting to make up for the graphical sort of, inequities of the system. And then they kind of used that, whereas this is running on the current Resident Evil 7 engine, which is magnificent, and pretty much most of Capcom's games now are going to be running on this. So it's a whole new system that's literally just come out with that new game, which is why you get crazy facial animations and stuff now. Everyone seems to be going with more animated faces and stuff like that. So I'm looking. Although I think they've purposely not gone quite as bonkers with the facial animations in Resident Evil 2. Maybe it's a nod to it.
I wish they'd updated his haircut though.
Yeah, but 90s. It's supposed to, I think it's still set in the 90s because the cars and stuff they used. No, but the cars they used, I think it is to keep it in the sort of canon. Because when you see the pans of the city and stuff, it's very they're very boxy. And I was like,
the curtains, the side parting and curtains.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So, what was there for you, Will? Then, what's the thing that you're like most looking forward to that's coming out pretty soon?
Well, in the E3 predictions episode we did last time, by drunken rambling and constantly repeating myself in case my dreams came true, I was genuinely hoping for something new from Bethesda Softworks, and I'm absolutely freaking delighted to say that within the next 5 months, or in about 5, maybe nearly 6 months, we will have a brand new game out of Bethesda Softworks, of which I now have serious reservations, but I've said I'll get it day one, and I will. Fallout 76. It looks, from what they're saying, it's 4 times a bigger map than Fallout. If it's got all the lore, all the quirkiness, all the fun, all the weird weapons, all the RPG elements to it, I'm willing to overlook and even give a chance to the constantly online multiplayer aspect, because I love that world. And I think it just sounds potentially brilliant. I just can't wait to see more detail on that. But that's very exciting to me.
Yeah, I actually, on my way back from work today, I watched an interview with Todd Howard, and he dropped a couple of bits of info. Firstly, there are no NPCs in the game, so every other person in the game will be a real player.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that what that means for the missions and stuff like that.
They're given by the Overseer. So you come out of Vault 76 and all of the missions come from the Overseer of that vault. That's something I gleaned from the conference. So there will be missions. There's a major structure which you can do on your own or with a team of people. You can meet up and join up with strangers, or they might try and kill you. But yeah, the missions themselves, it seems, come from the vault that you originate from.
Okay. The other thing they asked about, Jeff Keighley asked about, was mods, and apparently they are entertaining that idea, but at the moment, because this is new territory for them, multiplayer, they're more focused on delivering a solid service before they start letting people fuck with it.
I think that's entirely reasonable, to be honest. It's not an entirely single-player experience. If everyone is sharing that world, you can't just change that world within reason. No. Maybe they'll start releasing, cosmetic stuff that you can do, but it seems unlikely that the modding is going to work and fit that well with this. So I don't think that's unreasonable.
Yeah, it's extra strain on the server and stuff, isn't it? If someone decides to make their character look like Optimus Prime. It's all like extra rendering and stuff like that, which...
Or Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yeah, God. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it does look interesting. I'm very intrigued by it. However, I'm not a huge fan of multiplayer.
And it's 2 weeks after Red Dead.
And there is that as well, yes. I mean, the thing is, though, that's probably the last game coming out this year that I'm bothered about. So I think it would be quite a nice thing to play over the Christmas break if I've got a few days spare. And also, like, there's the question of which platform to get it on. I'm thinking I'd quite like... I mean, at the moment, I'm rather enamoured with my PS4 setup. So,
yeah.
And I think some of Ian and stuff hasn't expressed much of an interest in it. So, yeah, I may well go for PS4 if I get that.
Snap.
Yeah, I'm thinking...
I find it easier to game on my PS4 because I keep that in the house and my PC in my shed.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, so it'll be warm at that time.
As the winter rolls in, it's all about the house.
And I'm thinking it'll be a nice time to pick up a PS4 Pro as well.
I think I must admit, my disk drive is slowly failing, and only when that dies have I got the excuse to upgrade to the Pro. So I've got to figure out how much glue I need to put on a bad game. I've got a copy of Battleborn that I could maybe sabotage it with, just to get my Pro.
Yeah, I remember my old PS3. We ended up baking that to fix it at one point.
Oh yes, that was the old Red Ring of Death or something.
Well, it was one of the.
It
was one of the lights. It would do that, but apparently you just needed to get it warm enough for all the components to sort of reseat themselves, and then it was fine for another few more months until it died again.
Happy days, right?
Yeah.
Eddie, what's your big excitement, Rob?
I think it's still Spider-Man for me.
Yeah.
We got to see a different. We got to see a different slice of it this time, sort of based around some kind of factory or something. Or it was a prison?
It was like a Uber prison, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like a prison.
An oil rig sort of out to sea.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've said this before, but I feel like they've just Arkhamed it. Some of the it looks like we've got a pretty decent suite of rogues to fill out the baddie ranks, and also just like the amount of cool stuff that you can do, like all the fights, like every single fight. I mean, I know this is obviously a choreographed demo, but like the fact that you can sort of launch yourself off of objects, you can pick people up, the way the game kind of slows down in midair, just so that you can kind of do something amazing.
I like the way the spider sense, I thought, was excellent. Rather than the whole little counter icon that appears, it's just this little flash around his head, so showing his spider sense is tingling, which I thought was a really nice execution of that.
Brilliant.
Yeah. I loved all the verticality when you're kind of running up walls, inside pipes and stuff, and then swinging outside. I just think it just looks so slick. I can't wait to get my hands on it.
And the way he fired that fluid in so many faces, it was mildly erotic.
Shot his balls.
Yeah, he did like that big kind of like boom, and like it just sprayed everywhere.
Well, to be honest, we were chatting about it before, but I kind of said it reminded me of other games, but I was impressed by it massively, especially when you're doing the swing and then you're sort of spiraling through all of that debris.
Yeah, it does look deeply impressive.
Yeah.
I had one more I thought was worth a mention that's out soon, actually. I just thought this was worth a specific mention, just because it's a series that some see as very, very tired, but I thought, and I think we're all quite impressed with it, which is Assassin's Creed. Looks gorgeous. I didn't touch Origins, although Ian has mentioned that it's good fun, but the return of the naval warfare, and the fact that it's moving much more towards an RPG progression sort of system, the way you've now got choices in the conversations and all of that stuff, I think Ubisoft are moving this in a really good direction. Graphically beautiful, the combat looks pretty cool, and I think there's a pretty good chance I'll pick that up on or shortly after release.
Yeah, I think it looks good, but I've sort of got this problem where I feel like I need to I need to do like maybe at least Origins first.
But they're unrelated
comfortable
stories,
skipping one.
so it doesn't really matter. It won't have any bearing because it doesn't have. It's not like the others where the story continued with the Animus and all that sort of thing. That's all
Well,
done.
it is following on apparently from the Animus stuff.
Really?
But since I view the Animus stuff as utter fucking nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And always just want to get straight back into the historic bit. Doesn't bother me.
I would say though, the choice of Greece is quite a shrewd one by Ubisoft, especially with like the popularity of Wonder Woman and stuff at the moment. I thought, especially when they chose to pick the female protagonist.
Yes,
and go
and
through
the
the whole
whole
thing. There's that
Sparta
sense
kick as well.
Yeah, Spartan warrior woman. I kind of thought, clever move, Ubi. Well played. I do have one more
genuinely
quick
interesting.
mention. I do have one more quick mention. Not ashamed to admit it, because I've mentioned in the previous podcast that I was playing Pokemon Go when it came out. And the new Pokemon game for the Switch, that's intrigued me, because it's the first one that actually has co-op at the same time. So there's two people playing around the same world and all that. You can actually bring in all of the ones that you've caught on your Pokemon Go into that game. And it does have
it's working with it. That's pretty cool.
And it has a duality. So the little controller that they showed and stuff like that, you can bring across, and you can actually, other people can gift you, I think, Pokemon as well from it. So there's kind of like a weird symbiotic relationship. So it almost feels like all that effort was worth it in the end. Which I'm quite enjoying. And the trailer looks pretty cool. I quite like the
Cool,
graphics.
okay. Well, if we're all going to do one more, I've certainly got one. That would be, I don't know which to choose, actually. I'll just go with Shadow of the Tomb.
There'll be a Switch in this household.
Yeah. No, I'll go with Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I reckon, for my next one. Nothing about what was shown, particularly stood out, but I'm just, I have to acknowledge it's coming out very soon. It's coming out the week after Spider-Man, which is kind of annoying. And kind of expensive. So, I don't know, I might have to wait a few weeks to play it, but no, if it's anything like the quality of the other two, I'm sure it'll be great fun.
I quite like how they made Lara seemingly blend with both Rambo and the Predator now. I'm wondering whether that's her future. She's going to have like a mask or something she has to wear in the next one because of injury or something like that, and it has dreads attached to it.
Yeah. Well, they reckon this is like the end of this sort of origin trilogy, so I don't know whether they're going to be kind of going back to the more traditional type of Lara after this again, but with better graphics. I don't know.
I think that'd be a shame.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, shall we move on then to our picks for stuff that's not out for ages?
Nah.
Well, tough. Because there was a hell of a lot of stuff that was mentioned, I think, at this E3, which is good to know where things are kind of going. But, who wants to kick off?
Well, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because we have very little detail. Again, the one I mentioned was, oh Christ, I can't even remember. Is it Starfield or something? The new Bethesda IP.
Just saw a logo.
That's all the information we have on it, but it's nice to see it confirmed. Nice to know they're going to be working on something new, but that's so far in the future. I have nothing further to say on it. Plus Elder Scrolls 6. We all knew that was happening. It's nice for them to confirm, but that's all there is to it. We haven't even got a subtitle on it.
No, but there's been some speculation about where it might be set.
There's been speculation for the last 4 or 5 years.
Well, yeah, but now that they've shown something, people are like, oh, that looks like some book I read in Oblivion, description or some bollocks. But the thing is, the one thing I did want to talk about was that they announced those both as next-gen titles. And so it kind of made me look at how long it's been between consoles. And they have often remarked that the previous generation to the one we're in now was longer than it should have been. And also that, it wouldn't be that long again, or it would be a bit more iterative. And so I wonder, if you look at where we're at now, the PlayStation 4 came out in 2013.
Yeah.
So we're about due a new PlayStation.
Well, Phil Spencer openly stated in an interview just after E3 that they are working on the next one. It's not announced, but he's actually done the decent thing, not hidden it. Sony haven't said a word, but there's enough rumours that they are. It's clear. But yeah, for Bethesda to be saying these are next-gen games at this point in the generation clearly tells you there's something very interesting coming.
Yeah, and from the sound of it, they've been working on Starfield for the past 5 years. So, I mean, I know that with each generation, the labour involved and the production times increase. But even so, I mean, even if we're looking at a gigantic game, if we're getting a next generation in, say, 2 years' time, I mean, that would be 8 years in the making, that game, potentially.
It'd be nice to have some games come straight out for the new generation, though, wouldn't it? I'll tell you what, I would jump straight in if there's a brand new Bethesda game that I can't play on anything else. No hesitation.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the reason I bought an Xbox 360 back then was, well, one, I was at uni and I was skint and couldn't afford a new PC, but the fact that I knew that the next Elder Scrolls was coming out on Xbox 360.
Oblivion.
I was day one for the Xbox 360 because I only had to wait a few months before that came out. So some really exciting announcements there from Bethesda. Marcus, what have you got for your way off games?
I don't really know because they were all. I don't know. I think probably. I don't know because they kind of blur into different ones. I know we've got a few categories.
The way I've looked
a
at
lot
this
of them are 2019.
If they haven't confirmed a date, for example, Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, that was what I was going to mention, but I would say that that's the one I'm most eager for. The one I thought was probably the most beautiful as well.
It reminded me of The Witcher, and the joy I had when The Witcher 3, you walk out into this beautiful open landscape, but it's even better. It's just
Do you know what had
staggering.
Me? I was really impressed with all of it. I thought it was kind of like, at first I thought, it's on the back of Neo 2 being announced as well and stuff like that, as well as Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. I thought it's the era of samurai games. Yeah. But then there was that scene where they're setting up and you're literally having a Metal Gear Solid 3 style, in quotes, boss fight with the older woman who was the bow shooter, and the leaves on the tree start coming down. And it was just swirling around him, and my jaw dropped. I was just looking at the screen going, my God, that's like a pre-rendered cutscene, but it's in-game. It's just
thing happening. This is from the guys that did, what's that? Infamous games.
Yeah.
Which I know were graphically good, but looked crap to me. I played a couple of them, didn't get into them. But this looks like the Horizon to Killzone.
Studio, wasn't it?
Yeah. This genuinely looks special.
It looked, I was so, and the combat as well looked great.
Yeah.
I just.
Yeah, Sucker Punch know how to do good gameplay. Infamous was a bit of it was kind of an average game, but I really enjoyed what they did with that open world and all the different powers, the electrical powers and stuff. They know what they're doing for sure, and it's nice to see them doing something a bit different because they did kind of, I don't know,
got a bit stale.
Yeah, they kind of just rung that franchise a bit to death, I think. I suppose then it falls to me to mention Cyberpunk 2077.
I know.
God, I got such a horn watching that.
Oh.
What is the problem with E3?
All of this.
Too much
all of it is so much. It's like ordering steak and someone gives you one of those Bronto steaks out of Flintstone. You're like, oh my God. Hubba, hubba, hubba.
It's just hard. There's just too much. It's like you're a kid in a candy store and there's just too much. But this was one of the first things I watched on Monday morning because it was at the back end of the Microsoft conference, wasn't it? It was their one more thing. But yeah, as soon as that in that train and that CD Projekt Red logo came up, I was just like, oh man, this is going to be amazing. Yeah. I kind of get the vibe that it's going to be a bit like GTA Deus Ex sort of stuff. Some people have said, a bit like Watch Dogs. I suppose that's not too far out, but it's definitely in a much more far-fetched setting, and it's so colourful.
Yeah.
It's just
I was surprised
immense.
how much daytime they were showing. Normally with these Cyberpunk sort of games, it's all night, because they try to emulate the whole...
I think it's set in a place called Night City. And yet they went, let's show daytime in Night City. And you know what? I love these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was doing a bit of digging afterwards about that. Apparently, you know the whole little sequence that they had where it apparently hacked the Xbox conference and it was going through the different trailers and stuff like that. There's a screenshot on there where they release a press release and you can actually read the content on there. And they talk about how we're sorry we took so long to put this together, but we thought we'd work on it until we were happy and not when someone was telling us it's happy and all this sort of thing. So they've got a little message somewhere in that little trailer that explains that they wanted it to be great for people and they'll just work on it as damn well as long as they want.
That's it, they're their own
right.
publisher. Because they're self-publishing, they can just wait until it's good. I mean, they say, it's no loot boxes, it's all a full game, it'll receive the updates just like The Witcher did, and they are going to have to really screw up badly here. For me
I
not
just
to be
love their
it.
humour. I love the way that they approach the industry, as in, you know what, we're just going to make some really fucking good games.
That's always been their attitude. They started off with pirate radio, where you'd be able to pirate games over dodgy Polish radio stations. And then they started, localizing BioWare games.
Yeah.
And then, and then GOG and everything, and they've just built themselves up into a powerhouse of a developer and publisher now.
If anyone's going to bring about Half-Life 3, it'd probably be these guys. But
yeah, and they just seem resistant to all of these short-cutting tactics and stuff.
Everyone's gone corporate, and they're the hippies still being free.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyone got anything else they're looking forward to that's a bit
Yes.
further out?
Well, I don't think it's as far out as the other ones, potentially, but The Last of Us 2, Sony put on a trailer, and it looks amazing. I have to say, there was this combat scene with Ellie fighting off all of these ones, and you genuinely felt she was in serious danger the whole time. Ammo is low.
Oh, yeah.
She's massively outnumbered. She's actually scrabbling for survival constantly. But this was all pure gameplay. But it was genuinely dramatic, genuinely tense. And I think it's going to be Naughty Dog at their absolute finest.
Yeah.
So that's, again, there's no date on it. I think it's till 2018, 2019. Hopefully we'll see it Christmas next year. But that's going to be brilliant.
I reckon it's got... Sorry, go on.
I was just too excited. I'm sorry. There are some bits of that I was wondering whether, you've got a bit of leeway in combat. Because there's a bit where a guy shoots her with an arrow. But because she's grabbed the person, she spins him round as well and uses them as a human shield. And and it stays in and she pulls the arrow out of them.
And only then you notice the health bar slowly tick up. So the whole time she's got the arrow sticking in her, her health's staying low. You literally see her as she's healing. She's got to yank the arrow out of her body. I thought it was amazing detail.
It's crazy. I was just watching this going, this is just almost too brutal for a game. I hope it gets certificated.
The first one, similar. It really did a good job in reminding me of what I liked about The Last of Us so much. And it's just the fact that it's kind of that combination of stealth and improvisational combat, where you're kind of just dancing around, just running, finding a bit of cover, trying to get out of dodge. Then it all kicks off and you're just you find a thing, you leap under, get some cover, find a bottle, throw it at someone,
that was
pick up a bit of wood and whack it around someone's head.
It was so dramatic, but you're going to get those moments yourself whenever you play it. So that looks brilliant. That looks absolutely brilliant.
In fact, I reckon that first game might be worth a playthrough again, actually. Because it's so good, and I haven't played the remastered version for the PS4, so I might actually have to revisit that game. I reckon it's worth it.
I think it would be worth it. I'll try and play it within 6 months of the release of the second one to just familiarise myself with the plot and all of that. But it'll be worth it.
Yeah. Once it gets a date, I might go and seek that out. I've got one more. Beyond Good and Evil 2 looks interesting.
Was there any gameplay? I didn't.
No, it was just.
Yeah, there was a little bit of pre-alpha stuff where she was jumping around on top of these moving cars in the city. That was just after the. Yeah, there was the trailer. Then they showed a tiny bit of gameplay, and then Joseph Gordon-Levitt came on to talk about all the weird sort of crowd-sourced stuff they're doing for it. Because it makes sense, because it seems like they want to build this really highly detailed, multicultural world. So, yeah, why not, have the world assist with that? It seems like a sensible way to approach it.
I've got one on the opposite scale to Last of Us and everything else. Pure popcorn fluff. Devil May Cry 5 made me smile. I know we've talked about it, but this is the whole point of games, isn't it? You've got a whole spectrum of them. But this is what I'm saying. This is why this E3 has been really strange for me, because it feels like the moment I kind of stopped playing games and kind of stepped off, it's still been spinning, and now I've stepped back on, and a lot of old familiar favourites have kind of come back, and I'm kind of like, oh wow, that's really cool. So I'm quite happy to step into some of these again. You know? So I'm looking forward to it. It's continuing the story. Like I said, a story that I've been kind of wondering where the hell the next one will go for about over 10 years now.
Yeah, well, I think their little divergence with Ninja Theory, I don't think that was entirely successful. By all counts, it was a decent game, but it wasn't really. It kind of split the fan base.
Yeah,
and pissed a lot of people off.
I don't think it was their fault per se, because I thought it was an okay action game. It was all right. It was.
They were just trying something different.
Yeah, exactly.
It was fair enough. But this doesn't seem entirely divorced from that. I mean, he's got a shorter haircut, I suppose.
Yeah, well, it's not the main guy. It's the other one. He pops up at the end. It literally follows on from
Dante.
Yeah, he's literally the guy on the bike. He's just ridden straight from hell. So it follows on from the canon. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's why I was intrigued, because the game that it it's one of those games where the order's all fucked, because you start making one game, you make another, and then you start filling in the blanks in between, and you're like, oh god. But anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So I'm just curious where they go with it.
Yeah, there was one other little tidbit I'd like to mention, and that was the weird kind of announcement of the title of the Respawn Star Wars game, which was kind of done in a bit of a offhand sort of, oh, you're here, can you tell us some stuff, please? And he said that the game they're working on will be called Jedi Fallen Order, and will take place between episodes 3 and 4, and will involve the hunt for the Jedi. I think you play a Jedi in it, one of the hunted Jedi, and there will be lightsabers. I
struggled with that because the woman asking the questions made me want to pull my eyeballs out of my head.
Well, Andrea Renee, she's cool.
Oh,
she's on
she was
a lot of
trying
podcasts.
so hard to be Instagram / geek cool. I don't know. It felt more forced than half of the jokes on that stage.
Well, if anyone forced it, it was EA forcing it, because that's just what she's like.
Yeah,
I think that's my trouble. It's the fact that it's EA. I'm a bit nervous. I've heard a rumour that it's mostly single-player focused, which potentially makes it extremely interesting. But at the moment, I'm not certain I trust EA to do a good job. So I'm interested in details, but not convinced yet.
We'll just see
I mean, I definitely get the sense that they might be willing to win back a bit of goodwill after the disaster of Battlefront. They were very apologetic about that.
Yeah, but the way that they apologised, they said, "Oh, we realised we did something wrong and we worked to." No, you got forced by Disney to sort your shit out.
That's true.
I mean, the studio that are doing it did Titanfall, which is a major multiplayer game, but is renowned for having very slick shooting mechanics and all of that stuff. So, if they can string together a good story...
Titanfall 2 has got an amazing single-player campaign, so...
It has.
So, maybe, just maybe, this could go well.
It had some really good, traversal in the Titanfall 2 game, like lots of running up walls and stuff. So that could carry over to a Star Wars game really well.
Yeah.
I'm really, after the cancellation of what Amy Hennig's lot were going to do, the Dead Space guys.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that they can deliver something decent. So, moving on, shall we move on to Not Alone, where we talk about some of the what we think might be good multiplayer games?
Yeah. Will, you mentioned the game earlier, and I'm not entirely sure, but hopefully, having got a PS4 by the time it comes out,
Fallout
I'm
76.
thinking Fallout 76.
I think
and
we
we
can get
form
a
a
small
posse.
clan. Yeah,
I think we
that's.
form a posse, and we sort out the numpties of that world.
I think if we can basically raid. Apparently, you can raid old nuclear silos and launch nukes at the people that are annoying you. If you can get a big enough game together. Apparently, they're tough. This is endgame stuff. But that could be genuinely good fun.
Yeah.
It does strike me as the sort of game that is going to be more fun with friends. But it's the sort of game I will buy and play regardless.
Apparently, they've been getting some stick for this now because Fallout's always been a single player, and apparently social media, well, the internet, as we all know, is a voice of reason and sensibleness, have been really slagging them off for it. But I think that purely that's the reason why this is a prequel.
Well, the other point is, this is not Fallout 5.
No.
This is a game in the Fallout universe, released by guys who I trust to do a good job, trying something new. And if fanboys want to get butthurt, they can do one.
I just was going to say that this was one of my multiplayer picks as well. That's where I had it. But I have others, so...
Well, the one that fascinates me, actually, so I've got a couple, but the first one was also from Bethesda, the new Wolfenstein game, which is not starring BJ Blazkowicz, or whatever his name is, but starring his twin daughters. Now, and this is a Wolfenstein game with a major co-op element when you play the two sisters. So firstly, big on the female leads, and secondly, it's a fucking Wolfenstein co-op. How can that possibly not be an amazing thing?
And
the humour. Yeah. I mean, yes, Christ, yes. I think that looks absolutely brilliant. The trailer showing the Oktoberfest in Paris, because obviously the Nazis own the bloody lot. I just put a smile on my face straight away. But yes, this could be incredible. 1980s co-op, dark humour, alternative universe, blowing up Nazis. Yes.
Yeah, it's is it Youngblood?
Yep.
Youngblood, that's it. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and set in the 80s co-op.
Yeah, so awesome. I think that's going to be... I would be fascinated... I think that could be genuinely good fun if it enables two-player split screen as well. That could be very cool as a couch game. But realistically, I'm never going to get the wife to play it, so I'm hoping it'll allow local or online.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be so good. We're almost like a Devolver conference, aren't we?
Oh, we will go on to that in a moment. We definitely have to talk about that in a minute. But I've got that under the not sane category. But yeah, Wolfenstein 2, big highlight for me. Fallout 76, absolutely. Anything else for you guys?
For me, Anthem. I'm still intrigued by that.
It was good. Good interview on Eurogamer. I don't know if you've seen it, going into quite a bit more detail about that. Well worth a read. Have you seen the detail on that?
No, I haven't yet. I have caught a few more details. I understand that there's single player stuff involved. There's an actual ending to it, but you can keep on playing. I listened to an interview on the YouTube gaming channel, and they were saying that they want to sort of have it as a service, so they're going to be delivering ongoing adventures, which I assume is going to be monetized by microtransactions, which is fine. They've promised that they're going to be cosmetic only.
Fine.
Yeah. And the idea is that you'll have access to each of the 4 types of suit. There's a tank suit, there's a hunter suit, there's a sniping one, and there's a magic sort of one.
The magic one looked kind of cool because he was sort of like teleporting around the air and doing all sorts of stuff, whereas the bog standard one was just Tony Stark, which was awesome and sold me to it in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, it's all got to really rest in like how the gameplay is and stuff, like how that actually works, how the mixture of sort of aerial traversal and ground combat kind of works together. And I mean, the enemies do to an extent seem like massive meat shields with huge health bars and numbers coming off them, which brings to mind stuff like Borderlands.
Yeah. There's one thing that did worry me about it though. I noticed that when they were flying around, there was what looked like a stamina bar, which I kind of thought would have defeated the point, because I thought the way that they were touting it was that you had the freedom to fly around, like, at leisure. Whereas I noticed there was kind of like a bar that was shrinking in the middle of the screen, and then when they landed, it sort of filled back up. And
that's the thing.
I don't like the idea of it being limited. You know,
the chances are you can unlock and make it more powerful and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
it'll be a lot behind RPG progression. If you want to do that, that'll be a thing that you can get better at.
What I would say on the RPG side, I mean, this is a BioWare game, and what I find fascinating about the concept on this, from the interview I read on Eurogamer, so you've got this central hub where you still play out the story. So you've got all of these companions, you know, all these AIs that you don't form a romantic relationship with, but you form comradeships and you make friends and you do your RPG elements and stuff there, and then you go out on these missions, and that's where you'll join with people online doing it. So it's this combination of the story-driven stuff and then going out there and kicking alien arse. So it's certainly an interesting concept, but once again, I'm a bit nervous till I see some more detail.
One's got me nervous. It was my multiplayer one. I believe at one point it was yours. Skull and Bones. I'm more dubious now. I was a bit disappointed with it, but at the same time, parts of it really excited me. The actual naval combat, it was still very much Black Flag. They literally gutted out the naval mechanic from Black Flag and tarted it up. But the aesthetic touches they gave to it were phenomenal. Like the cannon smoke, everything, the splashes from the mortars, everything had been tarted up so much more. But when it came to boarding, it was just press a button and you've boarded. Not anchoring the ship's lining up, you swing over, start carving your way through the crew, looking for the captain. I was looking for all of that, even if you're stuck at sea. It was good to see him off the boat. Which intrigued me. And the fact
that just feels like a hub.
Yeah, that just felt like a harbour and you're just there. Whereas, I don't know what to make of it. I think it could be fun, but much like Titanfall 1, when the kind of feeling of, Titanfall, I was in a giant robot, and me and you, Rob, we had some amazing times playing that initially. But it quickly burns out. The returns are really small. Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, I get that vibe. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I do enjoy the naval combat that they had in the Assassin's Creed games, but I think if I want more of that, I'll probably I'm more looking forward to that Assassin's Creed game that's got it in.
Yeah.
And in that context, I like the idea of that being there as an addition rather than the main focus.
Yeah.
And that's what I think this Skull and Bones is. Now, if it's a free-to-play game or a game that's like a sort of a lower price point, yes, I could probably, entertain that, but I'm not paying full price for a game just to play that bit out of Assassin's Creed.
Yeah,
I wasn't blown away, to be honest.
If it was just make a ship, customize your ship, pick a crew, go, as Jack Sparrow say, raid, pillage, and plunder your Weasley black guts out. And enjoy life. I'll be up for that. It doesn't look like that. It just looks like sea-based arena, stopping off to drop your loot and then get back in there.
One other game that I found very interesting on multiplayer, but this is pure local multiplayer, was in the Nintendo conference, and that's the new Mario Party, which is doing some very interesting things on the Switch.
Okay.
So, I had Mario Party on the Wii, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Lots of silly little party games. A game the wife would genuinely happily play. Just lots of silly little mini games. But on the Switch, it's got a fascinating new mechanic where you can have multiple switches. On some of the games, you'll get the consoles themselves, and you'll put them together, and they link up. And depending on how you configure the consoles, and honestly, just look up the trailer because it's baffling to explain. But it's using the Switch in really unexpected new ways for multiplayer stuff.
I know what you mean. There's a part where they've got the two screens and they form a map. And the sort of tanks that you're driving through go from one way to the other. But
and you've got 4 players.
Field.
4 players on 2 switches, you turn into 2 little teams. It does all sorts of weirdness. Now, I think this could be really quite interesting, particularly on households, where there's a couple of kids or a couple of people that have got switches or, groups of friends. I think this looks pretty cool. Nintendo
And
are
it
doing
makes you
some
want to buy
interesting things.
Makes you want to buy multiple switches.
Well, I think one's enough for me, but maybe the kids might end up with one for Christmas at some point.
Yeah. One more multiplayer thing that I will probably end up playing, although probably not day one, is The Division 2. I played The Division fairly extensively, but kind of casually, and I kind of played for about half of it with sort of the odd kind of pick-up multiplayer session. But then some other mates of mine got playing it, and I ended up joining in with them when they got to the level I was at. So I ended up playing through the whole thing, and it was quite enjoyable. Not very enjoyable as a solo experience, but very much a good kind of drop in and do some couple of missions. And it had some really good cover-based combat. And the second one looks like more of the same, but a very different environment. It's going to be set in Washington, DC this time. And it looks like very sunny and colourful as opposed to the oppressive cold winter of the New York-based first game.
Well, haven't all of the new games all got weather and seasons in them? This is a theme I noticed across E3. It's like, well, basically, we've got exactly the same game, but this time it has weather.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
I got one more multiplayer one. Off the back of the Nintendo one as well. Smash Brothers. It's a weird multiplayer game, but it once again made me realise it's kind of like the oh god, what's that film? It's the Ready Player One of the video game world.
It's got like 65 different playable characters throughout the entire life of Nintendo.
But more cool than that, it was like you got solid. It was all the characters that have ever existed on that game, crossing from Sony, Nintendo, Sega. It's like Sonic, Solid Snake, Cloud from Final Fantasy, Ryu
I wonder
from
what they
Street
paid for some of
Fighter.
this stuff.
Huh?
You've got to wonder what they paid.
It's bonkers, but it just shows. And also it reminds me of another thing as well. There was the Monster Hunter crossover as well.
Which one? What?
Final
Smash
Fantasy
Brothers?
14. There was a crossover with Monster Hunter where you could fight the Rathalos and more armor sets and stuff like that.
Speaking of someone who's never touched a Monster Hunter, wow.
I know, but it just shows it's this weird sort of era of cross cooperation going on, sort of, and popping out of nowhere, and people are going, "What the fuck? Really? What?
I'm sure it's just an accident."
No, because you had the Monster Hunter one. You had Horizon Dawn Zero as a skin when that was launched. Monster Hunter World.
That was only on the PlayStation, though.
Yeah, entirely. But it's that sort of cooperation. I mean, you just think that's bonkers. Another game's asset making it into another game. Guest appearances. I thought that sort of thing was over.
I must say, I'm finding another one, just while we're kind of on something approaching that subject. So the expansion announced on the Switch for which is Donkey Kong versus Rabbids. Again, I find it fascinating that Nintendo are trusting Ubisoft with their IP, and Ubisoft appear to be treating it very nicely. I played the Mario vs. Rabbids. I could probably handle a bit of the Donkey Kong as an expansion pack. Happy with that. But Nintendo's characters have always been Nintendo's characters.
There was another one as well. It was a weird sort of
Star Fox.
What the hell was that? That really shocked me. I literally heard the garbled rabbit voice on the radio and went, "That sounds like the rabbit from Star Fox." Oh my god, what's going on?
What was that?
We don't have an official Star Fox sequel, but the R-Wing and Fox McCloud and buddies seem to be popping up everywhere.
So that was an interesting game. Starlink, yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's like their new Toys to Life game. They're having a go at that after everyone else has given up with it.
Well, this multi-platform is just Star Fox is only available on the Switch, so this seems to be. So it's quite interesting if it's Toys to Life but multi-platform. I'll be fascinated to understand how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Toys to Life, but it's on PlayStation and Xbox as well.
Right.
But I don't know if they talk to one another. Probably not.
See,
But the game did look pretty cool.
It kind of,
Yeah.
I was against the game when it was, oh god, it's, Toys to Life. But the moment Star Fox popped up, because I said, oh god, they're doing their version of an amiibo. And then the moment the Nintendo property popped up, I went, oh, they're basically doing a Star Fox amiibo.
So
Anyway.
that looks like a good cartoony space shooter, multiplayer, interesting thing. But again, it's all a bit vague for me, that one.
Yeah, bit weird. Anyway.
Thanks for listening to the Not Playing Podcast, part of the Not Listening Podcast Network, where you can also find the Not Watching Podcast, where we talk about movies and TV, and the Not Listening Podcast, where you can hear Adam and Co. talk about all kinds of nonsensical nonsense. You can email us at notplayingpodcast@gmail.com, or you can tweet at or follow us on Twitter at notplayingpod. You can find the show notes for all our shows at notlistening.co.uk, and if you like what you've heard here, please do leave us a review. Anyway, that's all for now. Until next time, bye!
With no booty. My friend, I'm inclined to agree, 'cause I suck. You suck. I suck at